Hey guys, it has been quite a while since I've sat down to film an actual video. The last video that I filmed was when I was still in quarantine, and that was back in June. I'm no longer in quarantine, I'm in my parents' house in Singapore, and a lot of things have changed since then. I also still haven't edited that video, so that's actually going to come out way later than this one is. But today I thought I would share with you something that I did in quarantine, which was buy a lot of Switch games. So I've had my Switch for a while. My best friend got it for me last year as like a early Christmas present and a early birthday present as well. And we used it to play a lot of stuff like Overcooked. That is predominantly what we played, but we also played a lot of Just Dance on it. And because it was her gift to me, I brought it back and she has her own now. And while I was in quarantine, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do so much gaming. And then I didn't do that, but I bought a lot of games. Buying does not equate to playing them because I didn't actually play most of these games, and I still haven't touched most of these games. But I did buy 13 of them, so I think I have a little bit of a problem when it comes to the deals, because like I'm cheap and I'm still like semi-broke, so I only buy games when they're on sale for like $2 or $3. I try not to spend more than that on a game unless I really want it. We're just gonna go through my bad spending habits now because I feel like calling myself out a little bit. The first game that I bought is Agent A, and this is a game that was recommended to me by my best friend. She was browsing through the Nintendo store one night and she found this game and she really likes puzzles, so she downloaded it and she loved it so much that she told me about it because I really enjoy puzzles too, and I love mystery games. Someone is drilling outside, so if at any point you can hear it, I apologize. That happens just randomly in Singapore. It does. The premise of a game is that you're a spy infiltrating this evil villain's lair, and to do that you kind of play through a bunch of escape rooms. You have puzzles to solve that help you progress in the case, and when you get to the end of the case, you get to the end of the story. The premise of the game is super simple, but I am a sucker for puzzle games. I have always loved them, so I think I'm going to have a lot of fun playing this when I eventually get around to it. I've also seen pictures of the art and I really enjoy it, and if my best friend likes it, and she's not a big video game person but she is a huge puzzle person, if she really loved it and recommended it to me so quickly, I know there's like a 99% chance that I'm gonna love it too. Next up, I bought Rainswept, which is an old retro style murder mystery game following this hardened detective, which like all mysteries kind of follow a hardened detective, and that's just a really common trope. But mystery games, I love them. It's my favorite genre of pretty much everything, and I can never go wrong with it. I love the process of discovering the story, and I know that this one is supposed to be quite a bit darker. Even just getting to look at the information online, I had to enter in my age or else I wouldn't be allowed to look at it because this is rated M. The premise is that a couple dies in this small town and this detective is trying to solve the mystery, but as he solves it he has to, you know, do the thing of digging into his deep dark past, and as he does it his sanity starts to kind of go a little bit. It's a pretty generic mystery trope, but I'm super looking forward to it. I love the darker mystery games because they entertain me a lot more than their super lighthearted ones. I just don't find the lighthearted ones as fun, so this is a game that I'm really looking forward to. I have heard pretty good things about it, so I'm excited to give it a try whenever I actually get around to playing it. The next game is Fobia, and as the name suggests, this is a game about fear. All I really know and all I want to know is that this game features a protagonist in a red coat, and she's trying to deal with her own fears as you run through this world. I don't really know how to describe the game and why it intrigues me. I mean, the concept of fear and dealing with it and not wanting to deal with it is just a very interesting plotline no matter where you go and how you do it. It is also a puzzle game, which I'm looking forward to because I enjoy solving video game puzzles. I'm not very good at them, but I do enjoy solving them. The art is really simple but really beautiful. Everything is monochrome and neutral except for the main character, who is red. The background is all like neutrals and blacks and grays and whites, all of that, and I think that makes for a really interesting gameplay. I don't think there's much, if any, dialogue at all, which means the game really just tells the whole story. The premise is interesting, and honestly, most of these games I don't know enough about to really be talking about them, but I really like the idea of this, and this is a game I'm really looking forward to playing. I've actually almost picked it up quite a few times and just not done it because I kind of want to do like a full sit-down immersive moment and just play through the whole thing. Don't actually know how long the video game's gonna take, but this game is probably at the top of my list for what I want to pick up next. Next up is Dark Arcana: The Carnival. This is another mystery game. This has a little more of a paranormal, supernatural twist. Not actually sure which one it's supposed to be, paranormal or supernatural. They're two different things, but I'm not really sure which one this falls into. A woman disappears and I'm supposed to find her. There are hidden objects and puzzles to solve, and I really like just the style of art. It reminds me a lot of the video games that I used to play when I was younger on my computer and trying to solve like the old Nancy Drew games. This kind of reminds me of that. I also bought this game honestly because it reminded me of this really random old game that I used to play on Yahoo Games. It was a murder mystery game. It was set in a carnival. Everyone was really sketchy. Someone dies and you have to interview people to figure out who it is. I never finished the game, and I also don't know what the game is called, but it stuck with me for, I think, over a decade now. I think that was when I played it. I cannot find this game anymore. The original Yahoo Games is no longer in existence, so I have no idea what that game could be. But this game and its description and its setting reminded me of that, even though they're completely different styles, completely different games. It just brought back those memories, and maybe I'll be able to play through and solve this one and not be incredibly terrified like I was when I was, what, 10? Even though I don't really know why I was scared of that game, to be honest. And then we have a game I've actually played, Welcome to Primrose Lake. This is another mystery game, so I think you're seeing a trend in what kind of games I like, but it is also a level-based game, kind of like Diner Dash or Cake Mania, in that as you play the levels, you progress in the storyline and you get to move on more and more in the game. I liked this. It was simple. I played through it in like 2 days. It wasn't that complicated. The mystery and the story in and of itself wasn't that interesting. I had figured it out by like the 40-50% mark. It was pretty obvious to me, but there is a sequel coming out because it ends on a cliffhanger, even though I'm pretty sure I've already figured out the plot of the sequel as well. It's not the most challenging game, but it's a fun one if you just want something relaxing and repetitive and level-based to play. Not a bad game at all. The art is cute, the music is cute, and yeah, it's just a fun, simple game to play. Would I replay this? Probably not, but I might get the second one when that comes out, only if it's on sale, because I don't think I'm gonna spend more than like a couple dollars on it. Yeah. Next up is Dex, and this is the most intriguing game because even the synopsis on Nintendo doesn't tell me a lot of what the game is about. I know that it's a neo-noir game and it follows this girl named Dex who has blue hair. We don't really know much about her. We just know that something's not right, people are hunting her, and she has to survive. It's really all I want to know going into the game. It looks really interesting. I'm getting like futuristic cyborg vibes. I think this game is based in Japan from what I can see of the pictures. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like it's based in Japan. And honestly, this is unlike any other game that I have picked up. It is very based in like sci-fi and hacking and stuff like that, which is out of my comfort zone as far as games go. But I'm intrigued, very intrigued by what it would be like to play this. So this is another one that I'm really excited about, and if it weren't for Fobia, this is probably the one I would pick up next. And then we have two games that are part of a series, the Family Mystery series. Honestly, I think every game I've talked about so far is a mystery in some way or another. Yeah, I think it actually is. Wow, okay. Family Mysteries is so far a trilogy of games. The first one is set in the modern day about this detective who has a really tragic past. Both her parents died and she's now a detective. She's solving other crimes. The second game actually follows her parents, and more specifically her dad, as he tries to save her mom. Both her parents are scientists and they've created something that other people want, so the main character's dad has to save his wife to make sure that everything's okay. So it's a little bit of a time jump, but it explores the stuff that the main character doesn't really know about her parents. And then the third game, which I also have but bought after I got out of quarantine, follows the main character again in the present day as she continues with her career of being a detective and solving mysteries. Because this is a trilogy of games, I'm really interested in seeing how they all intertwine, and knowing that they play off of each other, I think that's a really interesting premise. So this is one I would love to play just through. I would love to play all three just back to back as one gigantic story and see how I feel about it. This also reminds me a lot of the style of the old Nancy Drew games and how they used to work, how most like computer-based mystery games work, because it has that click to find clues mechanic and the different text options where you can choose how you respond to something. That's kind of how the story goes, and you can change little things here and there, but the outcome of the story is pretty much always the same. I love games like that, so this one I'm really looking forward to as well. Sorry about that if the angle changed a little bit. My camera battery died and I had to put in a new one. The ninth game that I bought is called Tools Up. This reminds me a lot of Overcooked. Basically, you're part of this home renovation crew and you have to work together to flip houses in a limited amount of time as everything falls apart around you. Because I love playing Overcooked so much with my best friend and my sister, this is a game that I'm really looking forward to trying with them. I do need Nintendo Switch Online, which I still have to buy before I can play this with them because they are in the US and I'm over here. But I think this will be a good time and a really entertaining game. The art is really adorable and I highly recommend checking this out if you are into that kind of like multiplayer team kind of game. I don't know how good this game is because I haven't played it, because you can't really play it as a single player, but just from looking at the art and looking at the videos, I think it's going to be a really fun one that I look forward to one day playing with my best friend when I make the purchase of Nintendo Switch Online. And then we have two games which I'm not sure if they're different games or if one of them is a bundle of the first game and the second. It's called The Inner World. The art is adorable. The trailer is amazing. I highly recommend you go watch the trailer because it is absolutely hilarious. The game follows this little boy named Robert who is really well-intentioned but not always the easiest to be around, and he finds himself swept up in this quest to save his world, which does not obey the laws of physics at all. The art is beautiful, the story looks really engaging and funny, and honestly, I bought this because of how entertaining the trailer was and how amazing the narrator was. Game-wise, I don't really know much about it, but the art just makes me think of a children's cartoon, and that just makes my heart kind of warm and fluffy and happy. I say I'm not sure about this because I have the game called The Inner World, and then I have another game called The Inner World: The Last Wind Monk. But I don't know if the second one, The Last Wind Monk, is a like bundle of the first game and the second game, or if it actually is a separate second game. If it ends up being a bundle, that's fine. I'm not mad about it. I think I only spent like $2 on the first game, so I'm not super bothered by the fact that I spent $2 on buying the same game twice. But if it's a sequel, I'm glad I have the sequel. It looks really fun, and I think this is one of those games I would enjoy just playing that's really chill and relaxing and doesn't have a lot of super intense high stakes, and will be a nice break from all the other mystery games that I've bought that I really want to play. The biggest selling point for me is honestly that the game promises to be hilarious. I am not the laugh out loud kind of person when it comes to watching TV or shows or playing games, so if this can actually make me laugh out loud, I will be very impressed. That is the one thing I really want to see if it can do, and if the dialogue is as witty as the narration for the trailer was, I will be laughing out loud. And then we have Tardy, which is a game set in space. The main character wakes up on a spaceship and he has to figure out how to adapt to that life. The crew of the ship has disappeared and he has no idea how to fly anything or operate anything, and he's kind of stuck there all alone having to figure out this mystery. The game is in an 8-bit style, which I think is really interesting, and I actually really enjoy it when games do that now because it's just a really nice nod to what video games were like when they started. I don't know much about the game, but there's a dog, so like that's more than enough reason for me to want to play it because there's a dog and dogs are the best thing ever. So in my mind, this is the retro video game version of The Martian, but instead of a really smart, capable guy, it's like this guy who didn't really do so well with life before he woke up on the spaceship and now everyone's gone and he has no idea how to do anything, aka what I feel like I would be like if I woke up on a spaceship and everyone was gone and the person who created everything is kind of a whack job. The game actually encourages coming up with conspiracy theories, which I think is really interesting because you have to find out what happens to the crew and why you're all alone and why you just wake up on the ship one day. I'm not much of a conspiracy theory person, but this sounds really interesting and it sounds like a lot of fun that I get to make up my own idea of what happened to the crew. I'm sure I'll find out as I play the game and figure out what the actual story is, but until then, solving puzzles and coming up with my own conspiracies sounds really interesting, so I really hope that I enjoy this game when I pick it up. At the very least, if I don't enjoy the storyline, there's a dog, so I guess that will make up for it, but I'm really hoping that I will enjoy this. Because sci-fi games aren't really ones that I tend to pick up very often, but since this blends sci-fi and mystery and there's a dog, I think there's a good chance that I will enjoy this one. Lastly, we have the game that I have pretty much exclusively been playing since I bought it. Technically, I bought this the day after I got out of quarantine, but Singapore is the day ahead of the US, so I'm gonna count it that I was still in quarantine US. You know what, I bought Don't Starve, the Switch edition, and that's pretty much all I've been playing. It's a really popular game. Most people know it, especially if you're in the gaming sphere. It is a survival-based game that I'm really not good at. I have made it to day 58 or 60, and that's the furthest I've ever been able to make it. I keep dying. It's stupid how I always die. I really should be better at this game by now, but I'm not, and I've been really enjoying playing this. The game's really repetitive, which I like, and it's really calming for me. I like having to do basically the same things over and over again and trying to get better and better at it each time. I went through a phase where I couldn't get past day like 14, and then all of a sudden I got to day like 45 or 50, and now I can't get past day 55-ish, and I'm hoping that one day I'll just like knock it out of the park and get to day 100. The game is a little bit different from the PC version because it only has 2 seasons as opposed to 4, but I really enjoy it, and honestly I spend way more time playing this than I should, and it is my favorite game that I've purchased so far, and definitely worth the money. I did pay a little more for this because I really wanted it, and I knew it wasn't gonna go down to like the $2 or $3 mark, so I was like, you know what, it's $5, they were on sale, I'll just get it. I really wanted the game. It makes me really happy because this is a niche style of repetitive gameplay that I really enjoy doing. It calms me a lot, and it was very, very much worth the $5 that I spent on it. That is the end of my list of games that I bought during quarantine. Like I said, I've basically only played 2 out of the 13 games that I got, but I will eventually branch out and play more of the others as time goes on. I've just really, really been enjoying Don't Starve right now, and it's a really good wind down at the end of a long work day for me. So that's why I've just been playing that one game so much. Also because I just really want to make it past my first winter, because that would be really nice. I am always looking at the store for new games and other things that I might be interested in, other games that are on sale. Most of what I'm interested in and most of what I want to play is based in mystery and storytelling. Those are the games that I'm most drawn to. I don't really do like shooter games or fighting games because those are just not really my style. I have played a couple before in the past, but just not really liked them as much. I just really enjoy story, character-based games that usually are surrounding some kind of mystery because I'm predictable like that. If you have recommendations of games you think I might like that fall into this kind of category, I'm more than happy to hear them. Leave them in the comments down below. I will gladly check them out. I hope that was a little bit interesting and you can see how I like to spend money on games and not actually play them. I think this just goes into a little bit of a hoarding tendency that I have of collecting things and not really using them. Yeah, I don't really know what that says about me. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the Switch games that I got. Let me know if you've played any of these, and if you enjoyed them, leave it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in a new video next week. Bye!